Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. 1,000-pound sisters Amy and Chris consider sending Tammy to assisted living. 1,000-pound sisters stars Tammy Slaton and Amy Slaton have helped each other out a lot lately. However, Tammy seems to need more help than Amy or her brother Chris can provide. They know they must consider other help for Tammy now. Will they end up having to put Tammy in an assisted living facility until she loses the weight? Here's what we know. They already tried to help Tammy Slaton on 1,000-pound sisters. On a preview of 1,000-pound sisters star, Chris and Amy sit down to talk about the future of their sister Tammy. They're worried about Tammy Slaton's health after she gained back all the weight she had recently lost. Amy asks Chris about what they're going to be doing about their sister. Chris reinstates that they've already helped Tammy a lot and can't do much more for her. Of course, we know Amy spent 34 years trying to help their sister. But, even with everyone trying to help her, Tammy won't stop overeating. Chris continues telling Amy that their sister Tammy's new doctor wants her to lose 100 lbs before getting weight loss surgery, pointing out the fact that Tammy couldn't even lose 50 pounds for her last doctor. Chris notes that he didn't think it was possible to gain the amount of weight that Tammy did in such a short time span. Will they need to put Tammy in an assisted living home? During the preview, Chris goes on to tell Amy, "We are going to have to start looking for an assisted living facility for her, Tammy." Saying he knows Tammy won't like that one bit. Feeling limited by what help they can give Tammy, Chris tells Amy that if Tammy isn't able to move around, it'll be like taking care of a very large infant. In which Amy replied that it scares her to think that she'll have to choose to take care of her baby over her sister. 1,000-pound sisters Amy doesn't want to do that to her sister. Amy went on to explain that she didn't want Tammy living in a home again. Tammy was already living in assisted living before and didn't like it. However, now it's getting to the point where it's too hard to help her sister. Also, she says that Tammy has given up on life. Then, Chris says that they can't lose faith that Tammy will do what's right. That's because if Tammy fails, they'll feel bad that they didn't do everything that they could have to make sure she succeeds with recovering her health to save herself. In a heartbreaking turn of events on 1,000-pound sisters, Amy Slaton and her brother Chris Combs are facing one of the most difficult decisions of their lives, whether to send their sister, Tammy Slaton, to an assisted living facility. What began as a hopeful new chapter for the siblings, one filled with laughter, shared weight loss goals, and a renewed sense of family, has shifted into a season of emotional reckoning. Tammy's progress, though remarkable at times, has taken a back seat to her unpredictable moods, mounting frustrations, and concerning independence issues. A new crisis brewing. The Slaton family has weathered storms before, but this one feels different. After months of trying to help Tammy adjust to life back home, following her time in rehab, Amy and Chris are starting to see worrying signs. Tammy, who had made significant progress in her health journey, even qualifying for bariatric surgery and shedding hundreds of pounds, seems to be slipping back into her old habits. She just don't want to listen to nobody, Amy confides tearfully in a recent episode. "We've tried everything. I love her, but it's getting too much." Chris echoes his sister's concern. "Tammy's come a long way, and I'm proud of her. But it's not just about weight anymore. It's about her safety and ours too. We can't do this forever if she won't meet us halfway." The siblings, who have spent years juggling their own lives and families while acting as Tammy's caregivers, now find themselves at a crossroads. The possibility of placing Tammy in assisted living, something they once swore they'd never consider, suddenly feels like the only option left. Old patterns, new challenges. Tammy's battle with food addiction, depression, and physical limitations has been documented from the show's very first episode. But this time the struggle runs deeper. While she's physically healthier than she's been in years, emotionally she's at a fragile point. The loss of her late husband, Caleb Willingham, still casts a long shadow. His unexpected death left Tammy reeling, and her grief has manifested in unpredictable ways. She puts on this tough front, but she's hurting, Amy explains. "She don't talk about Caleb much, but I see it in her eyes. She's lonely. She's scared. And when she's scared, she lashes out." Tammy's grief has not only impacted her emotional state, but also her day-to-day routine. She often skips meals, oversleeps, or isolates herself for days. The lively spark that viewers once saw in her, the witty, sharp-tongued humor, now flickers inconsistently, replaced by moments of silence or defensiveness. For Amy and Chris, the change has been hard to watch. Amy, who's now raising two young sons, Gage and Glenn, is struggling to balance motherhood and family loyalty. Chris, too, has his own responsibilities, a wife, a job, and his ongoing health journey. Their patience, while deep, has limits. The assisted living discussion. The emotional turning point came during a tense family meeting in Amy's kitchen. Cameras captured the moment Chris quietly brought up the idea that no one wanted to say out loud. "I know this ain't easy," he began, voice heavy with emotion. "But maybe Tammy needs more help than we can give her. Maybe it's time we think about assisted living again." Amy's reaction was immediate, tears, frustration, and guilt all rolled into one. "I promised her she'd never have to go back," she cried. "After all the progress she made, I don't want to make her feel like she's a burden." Continued, honest and raw. Chris pointed out the practical realities: Tammy's mobility struggles, her emotional instability, and the toll it was taking on everyone around her. Amy eventually conceded that he might be right. "It's not about giving up on her," she said softly. "It's about helping her live better." Tammy's reaction. When Amy and Chris finally sat Tammy down to discuss the idea, her reaction was predictably explosive. "Y'all trying to ship me off like I'm some kind of problem," she shouted, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't need no damn babysitter. I just need my family." The confrontation quickly turned emotional, with Tammy storming off to her room. For hours, she refused to speak to either sibling. But later, during a quiet confessional, she admitted that deep down, she understood where they were coming from. "I know they love me," she said, voice trembling. "But I don't want to be alone again. I already lost Caleb. I can't go through that kind of loneliness twice." A family torn. The episode captures the complex emotional web that defines the Slayton siblings' relationship. Amy and Chris are torn between wanting to protect their sister and needing to preserve their own mental health. Tammy, meanwhile, feels trapped between gratitude and resentment, grateful for their help, but angry at the thought of losing control over her own life. "I think the hardest part is admitting we can't fix everything," Amy says in a tearful moment. "Sometimes love means letting go a little, not to push someone away, but to give them space to heal." Chris, ever the voice of reason, adds, "We've all been through hell together. But we gotta remember, this journey ain't just about losing weight. It's about finding peace. The path ahead." As 1,000-Pound Sisters continues, fans are bracing for what could be the most emotional storyline yet. The question remains, will Tammy agree to move into assisted living, or will she fight to prove she can manage on her own? In the preview for the next episode, Amy is seen visiting a facility that specializes in long-term care for bariatric patients, while Tammy stays home, wrestling with feelings of abandonment. "I don't know what they expect from me," she says in a trembling voice. "I'm trying, but it's never enough." Viewers can't help but feel torn too. Over the years, they've watched Tammy transform from a defiant recluse into a woman learning, sometimes painfully, how to love herself. The thought of her going back into care feels like a setback, but perhaps it's exactly what she needs to rebuild her confidence and stability. A bittersweet resolution. In the end, Amy and Chris's decision is less about giving up and more about giving Tammy another chance. This time, surrounded by professionals who can provide the support she deserves. The siblings agree that they'll visit often, ensuring Tammy doesn't feel forgotten or abandoned. "I just want my sister to live," Amy says through tears. "Not just exist, not just survive, really live." Chris nods, his voice breaking. "We've come too far to lose her now." As the sun sets over Dixon, Kentucky, the Slayton family stands at another emotional crossroads. One filled with uncertainty, but also love. Whatever happens next, one thing remains clear. No matter the setbacks, no matter the fights, the Slaytons will face it together, because as they've proven time and again, family isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, even when it hurts.